Whole CEO with Lisa G. I'm the best-selling author of The Boss Weight Loss. I'm bringing you the top tips to be unstoppable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually pull up a chair with today's top experts in weight loss, mindset, and business. Learn our top tips to set you up for success so that you can have more energy, be fit and resilient, and feel unstoppable. He's a renowned Los Angeles-based clinical psychologist in private practice with over 30 years of experience, the author of The Father Factor, The Mother Factor, The X Factor, The Art of Successful Failure, and Father and Son, and most recently, The Shame Factor. Dr. Stephan Poulter. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate the warm introduction.
I am so happy to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to dive right into our content for our audience.
Yes.
And I just want to start with emotions, because I know that you know so much about emotions and emotional maturity and all that great stuff. So what role does emotions play in our career?
It's interesting. Many people dismiss that, as a linear, like A plus B equals C. All relationships, all business is relationships. Everything in our life is about relationships.
100%, yeah.
I mean, in the stock market in this last few months, March, April, going into May of 2020, it's emotional. It's not financial. And emotions play a huge role in economics. So part of being resilient is how do you read people's emotions? People call that emotional IQ. And part of the IQ is the ability to read it, read the room. Because recognizing your own personal emotions, your roadblocks, things that really excite you, how to read the other person is critical. But one of the things I want to talk about today, obviously, is the shame factor. People go, what's shame? We all know the word, but very few of us, myself included, really understand it. So I'm going to read you the definition in my book here. Can you see it, Lisa?
Awesome. I love the shame factor. Thank you.
And listeners, we'll give away 3 free ones, Lisa, okay?
Thank you for that. Very generous.
My pleasure. Okay. The definition, Lisa, is a primary emotional wound, not a secondary belief. It's a primary, like anxiety and depression. It's not related to a particular action. It's a paralyzing emotional, mental, psychological state of mind that distorts our view of ourselves, our world, our clients, our family, and tends to prevent us from developing loving, secure relationships, long-term, short-term. It also prevents us many times from feeling safe and secure and feeling like enough with mutual respect and understanding. And it's a chronic state of doom.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you. So is this something that we're conscious of, or is this a subconscious thing?
It tends to be more unconscious, that we just kind of go with it. And that's part of the roadblocks that gets in the way. First of all, in business, in all good business, relationships matter. And the best deals you're going to make, the best clients you're going to have is a relationship with them.
Right.
And a relationship is empathy, compassion, and understanding. And that could be it has nothing to do with romance. It has to do with empathy, understanding, and acceptance. And that's what people want. If you feel like someone understands you, you have no problem investing in their company or buying their product or having them train you like you do. And that's what you want. Because the relationship is about you, your company, your clients, finances, new clients, your support staff. And shame, understanding the shame factor is a game changer. It helps your ability to develop and get the edge regardless of the size of your business. Everybody goes, I want the edge. I'm saying, look at the emotions business. That's how you're going to go ahead.
I love it. I love the analogy with the stock market and emotions, because that is 100% true, that it is emotional. So get back into business. Once we have this awareness that perhaps we're not acting in our own best interest with our own emotional IQ, is there any steps we could take to pause before we respond and react to some kind of thing in an emotional way?
Yes. Right now, everyone's in business. In the business, everyone's freaked out because it's so emotionally driven. And there's an old statement: if you want to succeed in business, don't be attached to it.
I love
Which means if you want to succeed in business, don't be attached to the outcome, because that allows you to respond, not to react. Shame has you twitching. And there's 7 common triggers with the shame factor.
Oh, cool. Tell us.
There's 7 of them. I'm going to read all 7 to you right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go through each one.
Okay.
And they impact how you and I generate, build, and create the base and the careers that we want.
Thank you.
All right. And this is in the book, and it's in chapter 4 of the book.
Okay.
The daily function of shame. 7 common emotional cycles. Number 1 is the fear of embarrassment, which breeds into emotional paralysis. Number 2, feeling anger or rage, which comes from feeling invisible. Number 3 is a big one, the imposter syndrome, Lisa. People think they're phonies, like they're going to be outed.
Like, who am I to do this and who am I to do that kind of thing?
Exactly. And if you don't think that, that's emotional cancer to your business. Because if you think you're an imposter, how can you really empower and do work with other people? You can be something. Exactly. Number 4 is feeling isolated from rejection. And in sales, if you isolate yourself, it's very hard to talk to people. Zoom it or whatever. It's so hard to talk to people. Number 5 is being suspicious and untrusting of people. And I'll explain that. Number 6 is the fear of intimacy. Feeling like we're damaged goods, that we're unlovable, we're not good enough. That's different than the imposter syndrome. And number 7 is the fear of criticism. It's the inability to tolerate feedback. And many times we start acting in people-pleasing ways.
Right.
So those are the 7. And Lisa, I'll send
I want to dive into more of them. So dive in, because I think the imposter syndrome is
huge.
one. I mean, some of them I think you can attribute to the ego, as far as like caring what other people think. So let me have your feedback on all of them.
Thank you, Lisa. Number 1 is fear of embarrassment, emotional paralysis. And many times embarrassment it comes out in public speaking. Like, I don't want to go out.
That's hard. Yeah, I feel that.
Public speaking. And public speaking, the idea of embarrassment is that someone's going to see that you're defective.
Oh.
Yeah. And if you're not vulnerable, no one can see it, but that's not true. You feel it. Of course they're going to see it. But if you feel better about yourself, then that doesn't come out because it's not there. So when you feel embarrassed, we'll talk about at the end how to deal with shame, okay?
Thank you.
It comes out many times, number 1, in public speaking or having to be vulnerable, number 1. Number 2 is anger. Men, all the time, anger management. For women, if a woman gets mad, she's a bitch. But what it comes from a place, I know it's terrible, feeling like you're not seen. It's terrible. Because if you're not seen, you feel very angry.
That's so cool to tie those things together. I never realized it came from feeling not seen, the anger.
Yeah, anger. Oh, wait. When people say you disrespect me, I'm always fascinated by that. How can they disrespect you? That's because you think you're invisible.
Wow, I love that.
It's huge. You see this in divorces, breakups, in companies.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
In business, every company is a family setting. There's the mom, there's the dad, the siblings, the rivalries. And many times people feel disrespected because they don't feel like they're acknowledged, not seen. And knowing that is you don't act it out.
I love that. Like sometimes it feels to me sometimes like people think that they know you and they judge you. So they're seeing you in their eyes rather than for who you really are.
Correct. Number 3, big one, the imposter syndrome. And that's really the hardest shame. It's a feeling of not being relevant and not competent.
Right.
People, many times, there's an old saying, it's not about being perfect or capable. It's about being competent. And the imposter syndrome won't let you take risks.
Wow.
So I have a client, she's a lawyer, probably early 40s, and she's always been an associate, kind of like under the radar. Anyway, she does excellent work, And the place she was working at, the studio, said, we want you to become the head legal counsel for us.
Right.
She goes in her boss's office, literally, I need to resign. It's like, what are you talking about? You're more than capable. And she goes, I can't do this. There's no way.
Oh, that's
so he says to her, take 2 weeks off. He goes, and I'm not taking your resignation in. So she comes, calls me, and I see her like 6 days in a row. And it comes out that she was always scared that she'd be outed. That's shame.
Wow.
Of course she's capable. But that fear was so paralyzing that she was going to quit her job.
And it came from like her upbringing and all that kind of stuff.
And over the years, maybe not when she was younger, didn't get enough admiration for being capable or being competent. And so she went back to her boss and worked it out. And the boss said, listen, you're doing this. And she said, I'm going to do it. Well, ultimately, she worked it out. And she still has flare-ups.
Right.
You know? And Sunday night, her stomach goes into a knot with the impending week. And so many of your listeners can identify. I can too. Like come Sunday at 5, you're like, oh my God, here we go. And you want to be competent. You want to be capable. But that's shame. Shame says we're not.
So do we have a conversation with ourselves to kind of problem solve that, short of talking to an expert like you, for example, and reading your book? Is there any quick fix tips you can share with our audience? I
think to recognize one of the tips is when you feel like an imposter, that's not genuine. Because you wouldn't be in the position you're in if you weren't capable.
Right.
See, that's the emotional distortion.
So it's asking yourself, is this real?
Right. And is this real? And so, because it feels so real, you think it is, but circumstantially, in reality, it isn't. Because you wouldn't be where you are.
Got it.
You wouldn't be doing what you're doing. But like, you have to do a presentation or you get asked to do a talk in front of 1,500 people. You're like, oh my God, they're going to see right through it. No, they're not. The people.
But why do women feel that more than men? I feel like we feel like we're imposters and men.
I think women are more honest about how they feel about it. Men bury it and comes out in rage.
Oh.
Or shame. Let me run this by you. Men externalize shame. Women internalize it.
Oh.
The guy, Stephan Poulter, that went up to Las Vegas 2 years ago and killed 160 people. He lost his father when he was 7 years old in 1960, who was a bank robber. All that rage had been building in him for years. And it came out.
Wow.
Women do not go do mass murders. Women don't. They just don't.
We just don't.
You just don't. What you do instead is eating disorder, bulimia, beat yourself up, 10 cosmetic surgeries. Just, you internalize like you're bad. Where men try to get it out of them. Men externalize, women internalize shame.
Internalizing anything isn't good, is it?
Pretty much, unless it's positive. But particularly shame, Lisa, I see this a lot. Where men, like, okay, I'll give you an example. With the imposter syndrome, have a client, he's a salesman for this pharmaceutical company. And his boss, the salesman's probably 37. Boss is maybe early 40s, but kind of like the client's father, very cynical. They're at happy hour, and the boss says something to him like, you know, you got to get your numbers up, blah, blah. You need to kind of step up your work. And my client loses his mind, Lisa, and punches his boss.
Oh my God, ego. It's like it was a deep wound that he triggered.
And that's shame. Like he's not good enough. Yeah, he thought he wasn't good enough.
Oh my gosh. So he doesn't have that job anymore, huh?
No, he got suspended because the boss got in trouble for drinking with the employees.
Oh, so he got a second chance?
Yeah, so he came in to see me, and it turned out his father was always critical of him.
Uh-huh. I see that a lot of times with people where they
critical parent.
Yeah, critical parent does so much harm to people. I'm sure you share. You are the expert on this.
Just something. I'm very humbled by that. I understand shame because I've had to heal myself, work with it, and that's why I write these books, is helping people to have these tools. Because the antidote to shame is self-acceptance.
Oh,
self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance.
Yeah. Out. Shame. Shame only can exist in the closet of your life. There's an old saying, oh my God, in the closet, there's this green monster. It's huge. You turn on the lights. It's a yellow rubber raincoat. It's not a monster. Self-acceptance says, open the door and let's deal with it.
I love it. So what can typically trigger all these things? Once you get through the list, I want you to share with me, like in your life and in your work and relationship, what can trigger these deep childhood shame
fears? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go real quick. Feeling isolated, terrible. Isolated is your fear of rejection. So you leave before something can happen. Like the coworker who's kind of a loner, not really a loner. They just don't want to feel rejected because I guarantee on the playground as a small child, they weren't embraced. Now,
fear of rejection. Yeah, I love that. That's huge.
Huge. And I tell people, this is not finger pointing at our parents. We're responsible for our healing. Okay. Our childhood is our starting line, not our finish line. It's a place we start. That's all.
Personal responsibility.
There you go, Lisa. That breeds self-acceptance. You can't be personally responsible without becoming more self-accepting and forgiving. Like, what's my role in this? I don't talk to my coworkers. I never go to lunch with them. I don't socialize. I don't joke with them. First, they think I'm a freak. First they think I'm scary. Okay, number 5, suspicious, untrusting of people and authority. That goes back to trauma, where people don't want to ever be vulnerable again to a father figure or a mother figure. And many times they will do anything they can to avoid feeling vulnerable. I don't want to be, I don't want to have to trust somebody, a supervisor. You see it a lot in traumatic childhoods. But let's keep going. The next one's fear of intimacy, feeling like damaged goods and feeling unlovable. And that's more than just romantic. Intimacy is developing relationships with your coworkers, your bosses, the people you work with. Okay? Right. And lastly is a big one, Lisa. I would say the imposter syndrome in terms of commonality and fear of criticism, which breeds people pleasing.
Yeah, I feel like I've done all of these things, at some point in my life, because of my childhood and upbringing and deep subconscious things, the people pleasing. That's a note.
So the fear of criticism is the ability to think, I need your approval. I need you to like me because I don't like myself.
Yes.
Okay, I would say, I had a client the other day on the phone, I go, you don't outsource your self-esteem to somebody.
Right.
You can't outsource your health or your emotional life to somebody. Who does that? We do. We all do it. I've done it. But we realize as I feel better about myself, I can tolerate someone not liking me.
Yeah, it's part of age to me. I feel like I've got tougher with age.
Yeah. For instance, the example I have down here is a client. They had this big weekend trip and their boss comes up to them on Thursday. I need you to get this done by Monday. And they won't say, I can't do it, or can we talk about it? Because they're so scared that their boss will be upset with them. And one of the antidotes to all this, there's 3 things, Lisa, I'm going to get into real quick. How to heal your shame is the word emotional boundaries.
Right. I love that.
Emotional, I call them the EBs. The EBs, that's where you start and they stop.
Right.
Every relationship's like a tennis game. You're on your side of the court, I'm on my side.
Right.
But when it's fear of criticism, we run over and try to help them hit the ball back to us.
I love that analogy. It's so cool.
And that's why we get so much trouble. Codependent isn't I'm dependent on somebody. Is I want someone to like me because I don't like myself. If you like me, I'm okay.
Oh, that's so powerful.
And that's emotional cancer. Because, now you're at the whim and will of other people. And that breeds shame like weeds. It just grows like wildflower.
All this is ringing true. I just love the fact of getting older is that I've gotten past some of this stuff somehow.
Well, Lisa, I'm with you. And emotional boundaries, that's number 1. That's knowing you have to stay on your side of the tennis court. Your boss hits the ball over and says, I want you to cancel your plans to be home all weekend. Okay. I hit the ball back and say, well, listen, this is what I have planned. What can we do? You feel better because you said something. Your boss said, oh, I didn't know that. We can delay the deadline. Oh, okay. That's number 1. Number 2, it sounds weird. I hate to say that. People argue with me all the time. What is self-forgiveness? Self-forgiveness is the ability to accept personal responsibility for your life. Like people say, well, this happened, that happened, they're blaming. There's an old saying, the day you enter adulthood is the day you stop blaming your parents.
I love it. So true.
Yeah, the day you stop blaming your parents is the day you start to forgive yourself. And that allows that starts to remove shame out of your life.
How come some of us didn't grow up till a lot later then?
We're all on different timetables. Okay? And the third element, the last one, there's three things to do, is acceptance, empathy, and understanding. Acceptance of your life. Empathy is not judging it. Watch the narrative. Watch the narrative. And understanding, because it's all within you. Because the opposite of acceptance is denial. The opposite of empathy, believe it or not, is anger. And the opposite of understanding is amnesia.
Wow.
Emotional amnesia. Like, I don't know why I'm this way. Yes, you do. You don't want to remember it.
This is so fascinating.
It's wild. It's all in the book.
Where can people find you, short of like reading the book, besides reading the book?
I'm online. I do phone consultations. Stephan, Stephan, you'll show my how to spell my name, Poulter, Poulter.com. And I talk to people all the time. I've got
You're
clients.
so wise. I feel like I'm talking to Yoda here today.
You're very sweet. Lisa, this is years of work going in this. But I tell you, acceptance, empathy, and understanding will rock your life. The big three: acceptance, empathy, and understanding. Wipes out anger, wipes out denial, and avoidance.
Thank you.
That's why wipes them out. Go on.
That's it. So acceptance of self and others.
Correct. But you got to start with you. Can't outsource that one. Okay. Empathy, people go, I don't want to be, be a wuss. I don't want to be a crybaby. I hear a lot with men. I don't want to be a coward. I don't want to be, a sissy. No. Empathy is understanding your background and having the ability to feel it so you can live. Not every time you feel it, run away from it.
I love this stuff. It's so interesting.
Women are great about expressing, but they tend to internalize. Well, men, rather than when they should internalize it, act out and kill people. Okay? I mean, that's a little extreme, but you see it every year.
All the time. Sadly, more and more than when we were younger.
Yeah. But the big three: acceptance, empathy, and understanding. Understanding is, okay, so I am. This is where I'm going. And there's an ease that comes with understanding. There's an emotional ease. And a lot of the defense mechanisms like obsessive compulsive behaviors, all gambling, all impulsive habits like that, all come from shame.
So fascinating.
I don't want to feel it. I got to keep it away.
And even like when you even brought up like eating disorders, I mean, to me, I've seen that with people with critical parents too, like of the opposite sex.
Exactly, because the food is self-soothing. But if we accept ourselves and we learn to tolerate the uncomfortable feelings, after a while, they're not that uncomfortable. They're not that powerful.
So it's a control thing too.
Right.
So fascinating.
See, I believe shame is its own diagnosis. It's not under the tree of anxiety or depression or delusional disorders. I believe shame is its own tree, diagnostic tree, its own bird.
Dr. Stephan Poulter, thank you so much for all of this in content.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Take care.
Thanks for joining WholeCEO with Lisa G. This episode is brought to you by my friends at Bossell. Looks like a beautiful dress watch, acts like a smartwatch, so you can go from your workout to a dinner, screen your calls, track your activity, even your sleep. Share this with your friends for a chance to win a Bossell watch.